Okay, so here I'm going to be working on Worksheet 7, which is on complex numbers. I'm going to start with Part A, and Part A is only adding or subtracting complex numbers. So we're not going to be dealing with any I squareds. We're just going to be combining the real and the imaginary parts from these two complex numbers. So for Part A, I'm going to start with number 1. So this is A plus B, which when we look at the given complex numbers, that is 3 minus 6i, and I'm going to put these in parentheses, plus my b, which is negative 5 plus 8i. And so when you're adding these, you just add the real parts first. So 3 plus negative 2, or excuse me, 3 plus negative 5 is negative 2. And negative 6i plus 8i is plus 2i. For number 2, we have a plus c. A is 3 minus 6i, and c is 4 plus 7i. And again, I'm using parentheses. That's really going to help me later on when I'm having to distribute any negatives. Then, when I add those, 3 plus 4 is 7. Negative 6 plus 7i is 1i. Okay, number 3, a minus c. So the same complex numbers we just had, however, we're going to be subtracting this time. So 3 minus 6i minus, and again, I'm going to put the 4 plus 7i in parentheses. Main reason I do that is now when I subtract, I'm going to have negative 1. Negative 6 minus 7i ends up being negative 13i. Go ahead and put a box around our final answers. Alright, next we have number 4. Number 4 is c minus d. So I have 4 plus 7i minus d, which is just minus 6i. Now, I'm going to go ahead and write this as 0 minus 6i. And I'm just going to write in those zeros in this case just to give it a real number. You don't have to do this, but that's just something that I'm going to do. So, in this case, I have 4 plus 7i. I'm going to change and actually distribute that negative. You don't have to do this step, but I'm going to distribute this negative and change it to addition. And so my answer here is 4 plus 13i. Move that over. Five, I've got the conjugate of c. So c is 4 plus 7i. So when we write that bar over it, we're talking about the conjugate. And this is going to be subtracting b. Now, originally, again, c was 4 plus 7i. The conjugate is 4 minus 7i. Then we've got b, which we're subtracting, which is negative 5 plus 8i. And you can show this step that I did up here for 4, but I'm just going to recognize that I'm going to change those signs. Minus negative 5 is the same as plus 5, and I get 9. Minus 8i, I am going to subtract that, and I get minus 15i. Okay, and for number 6, I have d minus the conjugate of a. So d is negative 6i. Again, I'm going to write that as a complex number. And I'm subtracting the conjugate of a, which is going to be 3 plus 6i. And when I do this, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Negative 6i minus another 6i is going to be minus 12i. Be careful there with your negatives. So I end up with negative 3 minus 12i.